Britain has an army of creative chefs who day after day send out sensational dishes to customers in their restaurants.
They work long hours, toiling over their stoves.
But back at home, what's their idea of comfort food?
My name's Michael Smith. I'm the executive chef of this restaurant here, Porthminster Beach Cafe, and also two more in the town of St Ives here in Cornwall. So we're sending lobster cocktail, crab cake and a mackerel. Table 4, please. I'm from Australia originally, from a little town down on the Great Ocean Road. I didn't start cooking for the normal reasons usually. I was washing dishes in a restaurant and these chefs were coming at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and you know, they had this fantastic life. They seemed to have all the morning off and they used to drink beers all night and surf all morning. And I thought, this looks like a pretty good lifestyle to me. I think I was originally attracted to cooking for those reasons. But then after time, like after the first couple of years of my apprenticeship, I found that I really had a passion for it. And I ended up working in, at the time, one of the best restaurants in Melbourne, I'd say. Like a lot of young Australians, I came back to Europe and just wanted to see, you know, I guess where my family originally came from. And I heard of Rick Stein down here and heard a little bit about surfing as well. And I thought, oh, you know, that sounds like a place to check out. And 15 years later, I'm still here. We do specialise in seafood. The majority of it here is caught locally. You know, we get great mackerel out here in St Ives Bay. And it's a great talking point for our restaurant waiting staff to say, just out there, that's come from just out there, you know, and I really like that we can say that. Not many places can. Okay. Okay, soup of the day and monkfish will be finishing. Good to go. The one dish that sort of stands out here, not by design, was a curry I came up with a while ago, a monkfish curry. On a double team. It's a Thai-ish, sort of Indonesian-ish style curry. And I just kind of made it up and put it together. And whenever I take it off the menu now, everyone's in uproar. So, you know, people come here specifically for that dish. Okay, monkfish curry. Good to go. Another thing that drew me to Cornwall was the fact that there's some waves. I lived in Australia and was brought up on the ocean surfing from a young age. Still haven't got much better than when I was a young age, but still really enjoy surfing. In my spare time, whenever there is waves, it you know, keeps me sane. Going for a little splash in the water, definitely.
My name's Lysandros. I'm a second-generation Greek Cypriot, born in Cardiff, and growing up we had Greek Cypriot values instilled in us, and along with that comes the food aspect. That's a really big part of our lives, I suppose. And there's constantly some sort of cooking going on, whether you go to visit your relatives or even if we're cooking at home. Usually, the kind of question that comes after, hello, how you doing, is, you know, are you hungry? Do you want something to eat? And we're kind of encouraged to get involved as well.
Lysandre, do you want to come and help me wrap some of these gobebia, please?
Hello.
Hi, thank you.
Oh, my favourites.
There's a plate.
Family get-togethers are very important. They happen quite often in our house. Everyone kind of has their own task. For example, Mum might be in the kitchen prepping, Dad will be out on the barbecue, covered in charcoal, you know, flames everywhere, and it's kind of like this organised chaos. My father's passion for barbecuing has been there ever since I can remember, really, and that's really influenced me a lot. All throughout growing up, we've had these barbecues. He toys with different methods. He gets his friends to, like, weld him different types of barbecues till he gets to the pinnacle of barbecues. So we're kind of at that stage now where we've seen all these methods develop and, you know, different techniques of cooking the meat to keep it tender and succulent. Souvlaki traditionally is small pieces of meat cooked over charcoal, served in a pita bread.
That does look amazing.
In Cyprus, if you were to have a pork souvlaki, they don't marinate the meat, they just salt it. They place it in the pita with a bit of lemon juice, chopped parsley and onions. That's kind of what you get. We've taken that We've put our own marinades to the meat, so we'll marinate the pork in wine, crushed coriander seeds, and we've got a bit of a take on the salad as well.
There you go. Enjoy it, okay.
Thank you. Oh my God.
We make the homemade sauces, tzatziki and hummus, which they don't regularly use in Cyprus. We also add charcoal halloumi cheese to the pitta, which is not a common thing in Cyprus.
You want it the Cypriot way or do you want it the new way?
The Cypriot way with a twist.
I've got to say that my parents are impressed with what I'm doing.
My name is Will Hartley. I'm the head brewer at Wiper & True. Wiper & True is based in St Werburgh's in Bristol. We produce a number of different beer styles. Bristol's got a really good tradition for brewing darker beers, both stouts and porters. Today we're making a plum pudding porter, and that all starts with the malt, mashing in. Bringing the bags of malt into the building and loading them up. It's quite hard work. We weigh out the malts individually. There's a different proportion of each malt going in, so there's a lot of manual labour involved at that point. This is the mash tun. We pour the malt into the auger downstairs, and that comes up this feed and pours in through there. This set of pipework carries hot water. Brewers call this liquor. That liquor will mix with the grain as it falls through. Porter is a workers' beer, just as cider would refresh the field workers of the West Country. Porter would nourish and keep going the port workers in London back in the day. Our plum pudding porter is inspired by wintry dessert, a real exploration of what dark, full, rich fruits can bring, and so we designed the recipe to bring out the best in those flavours. We're pouring out our hot wort from the kettle. It's our lovely sugary liquid. We're just putting enough in there to cover the fruit so we can then mush it all up, get as much flavour out as possible, and then we're going to add it back in. Porters tend to have a lot of complexity. Toasty, having coffee, chocolate notes. It's quite a dry, but also full-bodied beer. To the boil, we also add hops for bitterness, flavour, aroma. This is Bravo, it's fantastically fruity hop, full of berry and citrus flavours. It's a really, really lovely variety, especially in a darker beer. See how it just falls apart. The aroma that's coming off of those is amazing. Brewing has a number of different processes involved, and each one of those processes has a whole number of different variations, starting from recipe design to the final product. There are pretty much infinite variations and combinations. That's why we always like experimenting with beer. We feel as though there's always something to experiment with and always something to tweak or change. Okay, so now we've finished the boil, we've got all the flavours in there that we want. Now we just need to chill it and transfer it into the fermentation vessel. Once it's in there, we can add our yeast. It will stay in there for about 3 weeks. From this point onwards, it's up to the yeast to do its thing.